Hello, and welcome to another video. So in today's video, we are going to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. First, before I want to get into all of that, I want to say that this is not one of those videos. I'm coming straight, okay? This is a very specific audience that I'm talking to. However, that's not me saying that you can't use any of these things in your life if you have never been a teen mother, if you don't know a teen mother. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is I have this message directly for those of you who find yourself in the exact same situation that I was in. Young mothers, teen mothers, same thing. And like I said, just because you're not a young mother, just because you're not a teen mother, that doesn't mean that you can't use some of these principles in your life and you can't glean some wisdom from what it is that I'm going to share with you here today. But I want it to be known that I'm being very specific in the audience that I'm talking to. Also, I do have notes here. Let's see, I might be able to take off my glasses for the glare. I do have notes here, but we're going to go however this conversation goes. I want to say that if I find myself going off into telling a bit of my business, telling a bit of stories from my life, I always say this, but some of you still say very foolish things in the comments. Don't take this as a moment where you think I'm telling a great story and actually hear the lesson. And when you hear the lesson, I actually want you to see yourself. I actually want you to see your own life, okay? Because you'll be held accountable for the information that you got and that you did absolutely nothing with, aside from sit around and hear a good story about my life. Like, imagine that. Imagine you sitting here trying to, we call it be messy, trying to get information about my life while your life is in shambles. So that's not what this is about today. Without further ado, with all that aside, let's get into the video. So this came about during a conversation. That's what I'm going to say. And the person I was having the conversation with says, I've never seen a child with a child, so a teenager, a pregnant teenager at the school that I teach at. Now, the school that this person teaches at is sort of, some people call them magnet schools. You have to apply to become a part of this school. It's like a career type of magnet. It's a special type of high school. And while the person was telling me that, I'm like, okay, so you do know that I was a teen mom, right? So be careful at what you say so that I don't get offended, right? Be careful how you talk. But also, what are you trying to say? That you've never seen a pregnant teenager? And the person had been teaching at the school for 4 or 5 years. So it's been a little bit. And I'm like, what do you mean you've never seen a pregnant teenager at your school? Never seen a pregnant teenager at school. And the person went off to say, yeah, when I was in school, there were alternative schools for teenagers who were pregnant. So teenagers who were pregnant during that time, they had to go to special schools, basically like being ostracized. Girl, I was totally offended. Can you imagine me? Because I was pregnant. I was a pregnant teenager, and I stayed at my normal high school. Now, if I'm honest with you, I probably would have rather be at a different school amongst different people, because there was a lot of eyes, there was a lot of questions. Much like the person who said this yesterday, people have a lot to assume, a lot to say, and the things that they don't say, they assume when they see a teenager who is pregnant. So I would have much rather been at a school like that, but they didn't do that. Okay, they didn't do that kind of thing. By the time I was in school, I graduated in 2011. They didn't do that sort of thing. So I was really taken back that this was a thing. So we went on into that conversation, and that conversation brings me to the conversation I want to have with you today, because I realized, and when the person was talking about it, I actually told it to them, and I realized that a lot of stories don't turn out like mine. And when I say a lot of stories don't turn out like mine, I mean a lot of teenage mothers find themselves among the same statistics that they knew about before they became teenage mothers. The same statistics, the same cycles that people talk about, you find yourself being a part of those very same things. And I want to tell you that when I was, so we just gonna have a little conversation. I hope this chair is comfortable enough to withstand a conversation. I got pregnant when I was 14. I had a child when I was 15. I had my oldest child when I was 15. After I had him, the high school that I was at specifically, they had a group. It was like 2 ladies. One of the ladies, she herself was a teenage mother, and her son actually her son and I were like friends. You know what I mean? Like he was in my class, a lot of my classes. So she would come, her and another lady, and they would sort of give like, first of all, they would buy us lunch. Some of the girls were currently pregnant. Some of us had just had our babies. I really don't remember at which stage I was in. I don't remember if I was currently pregnant or I had just had a baby. I'm leaning a little bit towards just had the baby. That's why I'm leaning, but I don't remember certainly. So they'd bring us lunch and they would have conversation with us. And I remember one of the conversations that they had with us in particular was about statistics. Now, I actually didn't like to go with them because they would call you out. And every time they came, it was kind of like everybody else looked around like, oh, they're taking the pregnant girls or the girls who just had babies type of thing. So it was very, you know what I mean? It was just not a good experience. I don't care who tells you what. It just was it almost felt like a very shameful experience. But without going there, let's go here. I remember one day they pulled us in and they had a conversation with us about statistics. And again, I was a bit taken aback. I'm like, I ain't gonna be no statistic. And above, I ain't gonna be no statistic. I'm not gonna put myself in this situation ever again. Is the thought process that I had when they were telling us of the statistics. Now, I don't remember the exact statistics that they told us, but I found some for you here today. And this was, let me read a statistic verbatim. About 25% of teenage mothers have their second baby by 24, like after 24 months. So after you have the baby, 24 months later, most teenage mothers have another child. So you got 2 children. And I will tell you, when they told me that, I'm thinking to myself, I think the statistic that they gave us was like a year, but I'm not going to tell any lies here. But I think it was about a year, or maybe it was 2 years just like this. But I was thinking to myself, I'm not doing this again in 2 years. Like, I actually couldn't imagine putting myself through this kind of, because I was in the 10th grade. So that means I would have had to do it all again while I was in school. I just tell myself, I can't imagine. Like, not only am I not going to be a part of no statistic because I don't want to be no statistic, but I'm not going to be a part of the statistics because I simply can't. Like, how can I do this again? What I didn't realize when they were talking about statistics is a lot of people take the stance that I took, and that's, it ain't gonna be me. But you don't realize some of the things that you're doing puts you in a position where it actually is going to be you. It is going to be you. Actually, you're next in line. So while you say it ain't gonna be me, you had best, when you say it ain't gonna be me, the only way that you can ensure that it's not gonna be you is to put up some very strong safeguards to ensure that it won't be you. And we're going to talk about some of those things here today. But I wanted to bring that to you, that statistic, because it is true. Even though I did not have a child 24 months later, 4 years later, I did have another child. So I went above the statistic, but still the statistic wanted to hang around. Okay. The statistic wanted to become my stronghold. And you want to know something? We're going to have a look. Like I said, we're going to have a little conversation. You want to know something about a stronghold? I learned something very recently about a stronghold when I was reading David's story. I was reading 1st and 2nd Samuel, right? What I learned about a stronghold is actually a hunting tool. Think of it as like a snare, like an entrapment that the hunter lays down for the prey. So what I didn't realize was that this statistic was actually trying to act as a stronghold to my life. And I didn't have anyone speaking wisdom into my life and really helping me along. And like, yeah, I know you don't want that to be you, but are you actually putting things in place so that it's not going to be you, so that you are not a statistic? Because the next statistic that actually goes closely along with that is then less than 2% of teen mothers have their college degree by 30. Less than 2%. And I will go even further to say that it's probably less than 2% get their college degree by the age of even 40. I can say that statistic doesn't apply to me either. But while I'm telling you that, I want you to know that my situation, it is very, 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 very hard. It is very hard to come out on the other side. Now, I serve a God, I don't know about you, who is above statistics and probabilities. But in saying that, I also realize that in order to be this cycle breaker, in order to be this curse breaker, I have got to then lean fully on the God who I say is above the statistics. And when I say lean fully on that God, I actually have to follow that God's decrees and what it is that he tells me to do so that I don't repeat this cycle. This is the only way that you truly become a curse breaker. So because I've had to walk through some of these very crazy things, I think I'm the perfect person to have this conversation with you today. And if you dare have an ear to hear what I'm saying, I pray that this message blesses you. So let's get into the first thing. So the first thing I have is get out of the bed and get your head straight. Okay. Nobody might not have ever told you this. I will say that when I was a teenage mother, no one told me this. Let me put my glasses back on. No one told this to me. So I had never heard it before. First of all, sex outside of marriage. Remember I told you the God who's above statistics? Well, that God says that sex outside of marriage is a no-go. So we're just going to put that there and say, get on out of the bed. This is the number one thing, really the only real thing that you personally can do to ensure that you don't become the statistic is you get out of the bed. You know that being in the bed is what got you in this situation in the first place. And I know that not all situations are the same. Some pregnancies were the result of abuse and all of these other things. And I'm right there with you. I get it completely. However, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what you continue to do. You know exactly what cycles that you're perpetuating. Get out of the bed is number one. It's a thing that nobody told me. It is a thing that will save your life. And I will tell you that if my mother didn't take me away, take me out of the situation that I was in and put me into a totally different environment, I probably would have been a part of that 25% that has another child within 24 months because no one was educating me on the fact that you just don't need to have sex altogether. And I do remember the ladies saying in that, remember I told you the little meeting things that we used to all have together. I remember them saying that celibacy, I believe the way that they put it was, the only real way to ensure that you didn't become a statistic. And then they started to talk about birth control and all those types of things. And most teenage mothers, myself included, end up on birth control because people think that this is the best safeguard to ensure that you don't go into the same trap. And they don't really teach you the real. And the real is the God who is above the statistics and the probability says, get out of the bed, you're not married. Period. I don't have an explanation to you past that. Get out of the bed, period. Okay? All right. Take it from me. The next thing is learn from your mistakes. Now, some of us have a hard time seeing where we went wrong. You spend a lot of time talking about, like I'm telling you right now, no one gave me this information. But just because no one gave me this information, that doesn't mean that I wasn't making mistakes. And that doesn't mean that at some point in my life, I had the ability to learn from those mistakes. You can look back from this standpoint now, baby. I can look back at every year, every time I've had to make a hard choice and see where I made the right choice or the wrong choice. And I can choose to learn from those mistakes. You can choose to learn from this. You can choose to learn that, yes, when I had the first child, my homeboy over here, homeboy disappeared, and I don't want to do that again. Nothing changed when I had this child. You can choose to see that and see the role that you play in that and make new choices. You can do that. And I don't have this here, but I want to say this, that my family was the least helpful. I learned a lot of this stuff just by spending time with God and simply by making my own mistakes. And some of you might find yourself in that situation where your family's not all that helpful. I mean, they give you the hardest time. They're not. And when I say helpful, the kind of help that a teenage mother needs is really It's really understanding, really the ability to, that saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, or the saying, you can teach someone, like you can give someone some food, or you can teach them how to fish. A lot of the information that you need is actually to learn how to fish, and not simply just people to give you stuff. And that, I did not find a lot of that. That is exactly why I'm here today, to be there for you. So learn from your mistakes. The next thing I have is make better choices. And it goes right there with learning from your mistakes. But make better choices. Make better choices with the friends that you choose. Make better choices with the mates that you choose. Make better choices with the places that you decide to go. Now, I was never a partying type of person, but I do remember a lot of people who found themselves in the same situation that I was in. So teenage parents, their parents were very lax themselves, and they just kind of did whatever they want to do. My mama really didn't let me do whatever I want to do like that. I know you're thinking, girl, teenage, pregnant, how your mama didn't let you do whatever you want to do. Sometimes you sneak and do crazy stuff. Okay. Some people's parents were very much like, they were in their own, whether it was addictions or just cycles that they couldn't break, and they let them do whatever. So it was like they were grown women just in like teenage women is what I call it. Okay. Well, they got to do literally whatever they want to do, and they did not make better choices. They continue on. I think one of the girls she was pregnant while, in the same, I want to say the same group with all of us, but she was a teenage mother. She was in that group with us as well. She had 2 kids by the time that she was supposed to graduate, and she did not graduate. She dropped out of school, and I can't even remember the number, but I think she ended up having like 6 kids before we even got to 30. Okay, so it happens a lot, and it really happens because of, like I said, a miseducation, a lack of understanding. But I want you to get some understanding, and I want you to realize that if you're trying to be educated from your mom, who was in the exact same cycle, she might actually not be the best person to educate you. If your mom didn't get over the thing that you're trying to get over, she might not be the best person to give you advice here. If your mom herself was a teenage mother, so you were the result of that, and she didn't go on to do anything more with her life, she might not be the best person to give you the advice. And I know it sounds terrible coming from me, but I'm going to be the one to tell you. So make better choices. The next thing I say is grow spiritually. And I don't mean spiritually as in all this new age and all this kind of stuff. Grow your relationship with God. Grow spiritually. A lot of the information that I got, a lot of the Tanzania, don't do that again. Tanzania, go apply here, go apply for this job, move here. A lot of the information that I got, the divine information, literally came from me spending time with God. And when I say spending time with God, I mean like Bible studying, praise, worship, prayer, fasting. This is what I mean by growing spiritually. It's imperative, especially if you don't have that solid family system. And I kid you not, I'm sitting here right now from the standpoint of, I did not have that. When I came to Houston, I had $50, okay, and no place to lay my head. So I'm being for real with you. Grow spiritually. The best thing that I could have ever done for my life was to grow my relationship with God, the only God, the God who is above the statistics. Remember, the God who is above the probabilities, the God who can give me a second chance. Grow spiritually. The next thing is don't stop learning. And when I say learning, I don't mean learning like just reading books of, romance novels and stuff like that, stuff that you don't need to be reading. But because you want to do the first thing that will stay out of the bed, right? Stuff that you don't need to be reading. I mean, don't stop learning, like actually learning, like math, okay? Learning how to write, getting better at your reading, increasing your vocabulary, perhaps picking up a trade. Do not stop learning. Even if you were among the people who had to drop out of school, I would say don't stop learning, because you never know when you'll get an opportunity to use some of the skills that you have acquired along the way. It's not going to be easy. I want to stop right here and say that it's not going to be easy. Being a teenage mother, especially when you don't have all the help. And I'm not saying you don't have any help at all. There's always someone willing to help. Okay. Even if it is a stranger, there's always something. Even if it is you're staying in a shelter, there's always some kind of help, but you're going to have to then go behind that help and push yourself to do better. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to do that. I'm telling you, it is imperative. Don't stop learning. Don't stop learning. Okay. If you have to, wait till the baby goes to bed and be in there doing your math and just acquiring new skills, like actual skills that you can use on the job, learning coding, just don't stop learning the stuff that it actually takes to be employable. Okay. Because you are going to need that. The next thing is to manage your money. This kind of goes along the same. Don't stop learning because you want to be able to be employable. But once you are employable, once you have a job, what do you need to do? You need to learn how to manage that money. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing that'll have you out here mismanage your money is a man. Okay. Right now, you don't need no man. Especially no boyfriend that's got you laying up in the bed and putting yourself right back in the same situation. You don't need that. A husband, sure. We'll get you get yourself to a husband, but you want to get some. I have another video. I'm going to link it for you. Some things that you could worry about before you get the husband. Okay. Some things that you can get established before you get the husband. You need to learn how to manage your money, especially with children. If you're getting stuff like state assistance and state help and help with daycare, and you have the ability, while they still have these programs, I have been telling you the prophecy. Okay. While they still have these programs, while things are still somewhat in place, manage your money. If you're on these programs, use your money wisely. Stop always stopping to get your hair done and stopping to get your nails done and doing stuff that you simply can't afford. And if you don't know, if you can't think for the next year, where are you going to go? You don't have a place for you and your children to lay your head. If you're on food stamps, and if these people take these food stamps away, you don't know how y'all going to eat. Well, you really don't have any money to be doing stuff like, buying $300 weaves and getting your nails and stuff done like that. That's not being a good steward of your money. Eating fast foods and spending the food stamps on seafood boils. I know, or crazy snacks and stuff like that. You need to manage this money well. Manage your money well. I will tell you, I'm not going to say the girl's name, but when I used to work at Salada, I remember one of my coworkers, she had 2 children. She had 2 small children. She was getting, they call it NCI here in Texas. She was getting NCI, which helped to pay for her daycare. She only had to pay for the daycare one time a month, but she would take her income tax and she would set it aside. And when she set it aside, she would set it aside only after she would pay her rent for like 3 months at a time. So, when you have children, you get back a larger amount than more people, especially if you don't have a lot of money, especially if you don't have a lot of income, you get back a great deal of money. So while you're still getting back money, remember I told you the stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff, while you're still getting back money, do well with this money. You right now don't need to worry about having a bigger booty. That should be furthest so you can lay in the bed and this whole thing can repeat. No, you don't need to worry about that. What you do need to worry about is keeping a roof over your head, over these children's head, and furthering yourself in life. This you do need to worry about, because a lot of things we don't have control over. But in the time that we do, it's best for you to have some sort of self-control. It's best for you to have some sort of management in place for your finances. Trust me. And like I said, what was the biggest thing? What was number 1? Come on, pop quiz. What was number 1? What was the biggest thing? They'll have you out here getting nails done, toes done, hair done, and don't have no money. A man. So that's the first thing. Move that on to the side. Move that on to the side, especially one that you're sleeping with that you actually are not supposed to be sleeping with. Get him out of here. Quickly now. Quickly. You wondering why the blessings can't flow? You wondering why you're constantly in a bind, why you constantly on the losing side, and you dare disrespect the Lord like that? Get that man out of here. Okay? All right. I know that's not where we going, but I always will go there. The next thing is use your time wisely. spending all the time on the phone, spending all the time the gossiping, like I said, partying and things like that. You think you have time for that? How hard, how much things are stacked against you, how much life is not in your favor as a teenage mother, as a teenager, as a young woman with a child, as much as things are not in your favor. And I always bring this up. The Holocaust survivors, when they sent those people to those concentration camps, the mothers and the children, I told you guys, the Lord said that coming up, that the mothers were going to have a harder time, that women with children were going to have a harder time. And it was reminded to me that this is not even new. During the Holocaust, when they separated those people, the women and children, they were the first ones they killed off. You guys are too much work. You're too much work. I got to worry about you running behind your baby. You're not going to be of any good service to me. And they got rid of those people first. I said all that to say, use your time wisely. I said all that to say, use your time wisely. So not gossiping on the phone and just not being frivolous with your time, partying and all that kind of stuff. Girl, you think you have time for that? You don't have time for that. Right now, there are competency-based universities, okay? And the time that you spend, you could apply for FOSFA, okay, while we still have all those things accessible to us. And you can go to a competency-based school and you can get some stuff done. You can get some stuff done. You could have yourself a degree by this time next year with a competency-based university. You need to use your time wisely. You need to use your time laying up and staying up and talk. You don't need to do that. You need to use your time wisely. Take it from me. You need to use your youth wisely. Instead of bopping around on TikTok and Instagram thinking that you're so cute. And you're in this situation. You need to use your time wisely. Oh, Lord. I'm going to tell you this too, because I worked at Amazon during the pandemic. And I remember, Holy Spirit. And I remember a young lady, she came up to me. We were just being friendly. I think we were working on like the same row or something like that. And she just had found out she was pregnant. She was very distraught about the pregnancy. She didn't know what she was going to do and all these things. It was some one night stand that she had. And like I said, I'd never come on here telling all of somebody else's business. I tell my business here too. Go and look. Okay. These lessons I've been teaching for quite some time, but we're talking about this story today because this is the story that the Holy Spirit just brought back to my mind while I'm sitting here. So she had found out she was pregnant. She was at a party and had a one night stand and ended up pregnant. Do you think that the dad wants to be around? No, he did not want the baby. However, she did not terminate the pregnancy. To God be the glory for that. So she kept the pregnancy, but she also found herself in a very sticky situation. And I had been telling her because I had just closed down my daycare. So I had a lot of knowledge about state programs and just different things. And I had worked with a lot of teenage mothers. I had worked with a lot of young mothers, teen mothers. I was one myself. She didn't know all of this coming into, she didn't know all this having a conversation with me, but I was trying to give her sound advice as to some steps that she needed to take. You just found out you were pregnant. Now is the time for you to act and get things in place. She played around. At one point in time, she thought, I guess, that I would keep the baby. I ended up leaving the job because I had the freedom to do so. Okay, I no longer needed to work there. The pandemic was kind of subsiding. I had went on and gotten a certification in massage. So I had went on to, a better and different job. In the time span that we knew each other, it came time she had the baby. She calls me up and she says, what do you do during the daytime? And I told her, my daytime is free. My daytime is free. And she asked me, can I watch the child? And I said, no. And Tiffany, why did you say no? Well, I said no because for the last 9 months, I had been telling her of all the programs and all the resources that she needed to get. And she did not take them seriously. And I even told her, I began to tell her about my God. Homegirl said, I don't want to know nothing about your God. I ain't asked you nothing about it. She told me this. I ain't asked you nothing about your God. So when she asked me that, the first thing that came to my mind, well, it's my God that has me in a position to be able to help you. So if you want to reject my God, well, I can do little for you, honey. I can do little for you. Because if this is how you talk about the God who is trying to help you, what will you do to me? And I kid you not, I'd still be watching her child to this day had I not listened and just declined. Because sometimes you'll try to go further for people than they're actually willing to go for themselves. So don't take it the wrong way when people don't help you. I had a lot of people not help me as a teenage mother, but listen to me. When someone gives you advice, and most of the time it's going to come from outside of your family, when they give you good sound advice to follow, it'll be in your best interest to do that because you need help. You need the help that you can get. You need the good help that you can get. I was giving her all the resources. I even had the connections to get her into the programs, and she declined because she thought that at the end of this pregnancy, I'll push this baby off on you. And this was a mindset that she got from her mother. That she could not even lean on her own mother to help her watch the baby. She didn't trust the mother. So this was something cyclical, as I said. And I see homegirl, on TikTok. What are you on TikTok half clothed for? After you just had a baby, what you should be doing other things. And I said, I got to get out of here. Okay, I got to get out of here. So use your time wisely. Use your time wisely. Use your resources even wisely. Like I said, you need all the good help that you can get. Use it wisely. And I'm not telling you to use people like homegirl tried to use me. I'm not telling you to use people like that because guess what? The Lord is sovereign and he sees all things. So I'm not telling you to use nobody. I am telling you to use your time wisely. Use your resources wisely. And if the Lord blesses you, if he places, a mother, a father, a step parent, friends, co-workers in your life who try to help you, don't be the foolish person declining the good help. Okay, because perhaps the help you taking the help from them requires you to change in some type of way. Go ahead and change. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, like I told you at the beginning of this story, that most people don't get to the outcome like mine and the outcome that they desire because they don't change. They don't make the necessary changes to actually get to the thing that they say they want. They don't make the necessary changes, even like I just said, to accept the help. Nobody's just going to let you just do anything and be helping you. Take it from me. The next thing I have is trades and higher education. I would definitely consider. I mentioned that I took up a trade. Okay. And at this point in time, I'll be honest in saying I didn't have to work. My husband, by the grace of God, I'm grateful for, takes care of the household in that way. But this is not the video for today. I don't believe in being no silly woman now. So definitely trades are good. Higher education is good because a lot of time trades mean harder work, like labor type of work most times. Okay. And as we get older, we might not be able to do all those kind of things. So higher education, I would highly suggest, like I said, there are competency-based universities now that you can use to get yourself some higher education. You can get yourself together in ways that I couldn't even fathom when I was your age. Okay, when I was your age. And this is the last thing I have to talk about, and that is don't try and rush to help people past your own understanding. So if you watch this whole video and you yourself are not a teenage mother or whatever the case may be, I think this is advice that we could all glean from. Don't try and help people, rush to help people past your own level of understanding. How do you get understanding? You get understanding by overcoming. So if you have yet to overcome something, don't try to help somebody through something that you haven't overcome. That's like you're trying to give marriage advice and you've got 3 failed marriages. Okay. And if you are the teenage mother who are listening to me, I want to tell you that don't listen to other teenage mothers. Don't listen to other mothers who don't have what it is that you want to acquire. So if you don't want to spend the rest of your life alone, broke, busted, and disgusted, and this is what they're giving, and this is what they have, and from this place they're providing you with information, perhaps you should consider not taking it. If you don't want to be like me, perhaps you should consider not taking my advice. You don't want to trust in the Lord. You don't want to move and follow what God says all the way through and then acquire all the blessings that brings. And one of the blessings is really being in your right mind, having endured all these things. Okay? It's possible. It is possible. When I talked to the person yesterday They said that is what they said. That was what brought about the conversation. Like I said, seeing this young lady who was pregnant and also being reminded of me and how I made, and it's not me, it's me that you're seeing. But at the end of the day, it was God that made this look easy through my life. But for me, it looked like obedience to what he said to do. Okay. And it does become easier. But I don't want to misconstrue the fact that being a teenage mother, baby, you got your work cut out for you. You got your work cut out for you. I wish I had somebody giving me this type of advice. I'm going to link the few videos that I have. I have a video about searching for apartments. I'm working on. Give me some time, okay? You know, stuff take a little while, okay? I'm working on doing some more videos like that for you. There are ways that you can just be very strategic with your time, with your money, with your resources, okay? I'm here for you. Like I said, go check the channel. There's other videos just like this here. And I'm not at all condoning being a teenage mother. I hope that's very clear that I'm obviously saying it's not the route that you should take. But if you're watching this video because you're already on that road, I want you to know that you can do better. Things can get better, but you are going to have to make the necessary changes to not continue on this cycle, because it's a nasty one, okay? As always, if you have a question, ask a question, and I'll see you in the next video.